Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's start off with Trina for a minute. Trina and Ava catching up. Ava tells Trina, about Spencer and how he feels about her and the whole ruse and everything like that. So he tells her all that, which the letter was going to do when Trina was talking about the letter and how he was like very back and forth about it. But now that Trina knows the truth, she tries to rush to go see Spencer before he's gone, but she's too late. Now, the thing that really sucked in Spencer's situation wasn't just so like, all right, Trina wasn't there, but no one else was really there. I mean, yeah, Nicholas was there and Victor was there, but Josh wasn't there, Cam wasn't there, Sonny wasn't there. I mean, what he felt his meeting with Victor was more important than seeing his nephew off, to Penville. So that sucked. Spencer didn't want nothing to do with Nicholas. Nicholas walked in and he was like, yo, you gotta go, you gotta get out, I don't want to see you. And he threatened him as far as the conversation that he had with Ava. Of course, Victor gets there in time and kind of shuts the whole thing down, calms the situation. I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised a cop or anyone didn't just walk in and be like, yo, listen, you got to stop this or we got to shut this whole thing down. They just let them all argue and yell and raise their voices in the room like, so I guess no one's going to sit there and check on the prisoner and, nah, it's just cast signs, it's cool? Okay. But yeah, he was giving Rory hella attitude. And, that's the thing about Spencer. Spencer he has a lot of ranges, and I can understand why a lot of people like him. Because there's times he can just come across as a spoiled, privileged prick when Rory was trying to be nothing but nice to him. In all reality, Rory got the girl. Okay, this dude was going away for jail for like 3 months, which is like a slap on the wrist. But, he could have been a dick to him. He could have really rubbed it in his face and be like, yeah, rub Trina in his face and everything like that. Now, that's not who he is so far. Of course, I heard from people that he has a little dirt. But, he could have been just as petty. And he decided not to, even though Spencer was giving him all the reasons in the world, you know, to be petty. Now, one thing about Dante that I'm just not understanding is his relationship with Cody. And the fact that flat out, he doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust him. And, he was sitting there telling Sam, like, I don't really know about this guy. I mean, well, basically, he was like, looks can be deceiving. And Sam was sitting there just giving the go ahead, like, no, he's cool. He brings out something in you. I like y'all vibe together. You're more laid back. And I'm like, this dude just said that he doesn't trust his friend. And you're practically just throwing that to the side, like, that's cool. He's a good guy. I think he's a good guy. This, that, and the third. Okay, Sam, but he doesn't think that he can trust him. Shouldn't you worry about that? I mean, he grew up with Cody. Now, while you're sitting there giving him the all clear, he has reservations. And not only are you not listening and being like, okay, well, why you don't like him? And okay, maybe I shouldn't sit there and be so rah about Cody, but like you're just doing the exact opposite, just totally ignoring his concerns. Uh, I don't get that. I really don't get that. And tell me, I cannot be the only person that looked at that scene and was just like, what? Mac, Felicia, and Maxie. What I don't understand, well, Mac doesn't want to, I guess he doesn't want to find out if he is Cody's father. He has reasons that, well, it may seem like it's silly to other people, because even I'm just like, doesn't he have the right to sit there and know who his birth dad is? He has his reservations, okay? Whether you agree or disagree, he has his reservations. Yet you got Maxie and Felicia like, no, I don't understand. Why don't you want to sit there and know? You should definitely know. You should tell him. You should try to, I'm like, he has his reservations of why, and yet you have both of them that is pushing the issue. And then when Maxie leaves, Felicia continues to push the issue. And then towards the end, she's like, well, listen, if you don't want to get to know him or whatever, then, that's fine. And I understand it. And I respect that. I was like, no, you don't. Because for a good 10, 12, 15 something minutes, you did nothing but hound this man about trying to find DNA tests. And, you know, even though he had reservations of why and change and, is he going to be a danger? All that stuff that he doesn't know about Cody. And yet they're just pushing like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. Sonny meets with Victor. And although I did enjoy the back and forth, between those two, especially when Sonny was like, oh, does your family talk to you? And Victor was like, does yours? And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, okay. It's like you might want to just kind of drop the whole family dynamic thing. They talk about Spencer, they talk about Ava, but in reality, nothing got done, nothing got settled. And again, although I enjoyed the back and forth, I'm wondering, was this meeting even really important? What did it solve? Did it solve Sonny's woes with Victor? Did you get anything out of your chest? Because like, oh well, Spencer's not they going to jail for you and yada yada yada. I'm like, Sonny, shouldn't you be seeing Spencer off to Penville instead of mixing up with him? Because you're not really getting anywhere with him, and it just seems kind of like a pointless meeting, to be honest. I don't even know what to say about the Cody and Britt stuff because it just seems like it's always a level of animosity. Like they're always arguing. You know, Britt is always going so hard at Cody, and I'm just like, bro, you should just really let this go. And this all happens because Britt is asking questions like, "Oh, why does Cody, why does Mac want to sit there and find out information about you and yada yada yada?" And then there's one point where Cody's like, "Oh, well, they're gonna sit there and try to build a case against me, and I should sit there and run." And then I guess Cody, in his way, is kind of testing Britt, like, "Oh, if I left, would you miss me and stuff like that? Do you want to like, do you want me to stay?" And in all reality, unless they're going to actually recast Brit, which I think that's what they're going to do. If they don't, this whole scene just seems kind of pointless. But at some point, Cody talks about hitting Mac, and Maxie walks in. Maxie's like, "I'm sorry, what? like what did you just say?" So Maxie's like, "Listen, just answer his questions, be honest, and you have nothing to worry about. Like you didn't do anything wrong. You have nothing to worry about." But then Britt starts trying to defend him, like, "Oh, well, we get that Mac is a stand up guy, but, to Cody, he doesn't know him. And, how many times did you sit there and get accused of something that you didn't do or whatever?" And I'm just like part of that scene just kind of gave me a headache. But I think when Cody left, um, Mac was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't think that you should sit there and give him a second date now." And I'm just like, oh, okay. Uh, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I mean, there was some pointless scenes that didn't really go anywhere, like Ava and Sonny coming in there asking Ava, "Oh, so you really don't know who did it? You don't know who attacked you?" She said she didn't know who attacked her, and I mean, she's been saying the same thing for a hot minute. And of course, Sonny's like, "Oh, it seems like you're hiding something." Well, whatever it is, she's not going to tell you. So I don't know I don't know what you're gonna do about that. I mean, you're not gonna stop protecting her because of Avery. So this whole conversation is pointless. Um, well, let's just say it's pointless, but he didn't get anywhere, and I think in his heart he probably knew he wasn't gonna get anywhere. And the same thing with Victor and Nicholas when I guess they went to that restaurant. Nicholas was like, what do we have to talk about? And Victor was like, no, we got to finish our conversation. We got to do it here because people won't sit there and you know, like get so loud and break stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, I feel like you already had to count. Oh, I did forget a scene. Of course, it didn't go anywhere, but that was Nicholas and um, Jordan. Which, of course, at this point, Nicholas is making himself seem more guilty by the minute. You know, because Jordan was like, "Why aren't you with your wife or whatever?" Like, you're not really answering a lot of questions. Almost sounds like you don't want to be eliminated as a suspect. Like, you're holding up the investigation. I could be looking and talking to somebody else. Yet I'm standing here trying to talk to you, and you're doing nothing but stonewall. Um, Now she said that they can sit there and do another talk, and he can bring his lawyer. But I'm just like, you could have just brought your lawyer there. Just said I'm not talking without a lawyer. So I didn't really understand the whole point of that. And again, as much as I love this show, there's a lot of scenes where they'll just put it in there as filler, and it doesn't really go anywhere. You know, I don't know. Something about this episode, eh, it was okay. It was okay. It was okay. Wasn't super great to be honest, but it was okay. I feel like a lot of times, and I've said this a couple of times, is that even when the episode's not great, we'll still sit there and watch it for the characters. Watch it for the characters because that's the characters that we've been watching for so long, and we've been seeing them mold into these characters. And certain people, like I said, with Sonny, with Chad Duell, they're just irreplaceable. I'm gonna be completely honest. Um, but that's just my 2 cents. Not gonna lie, I don't really think anything else happened. I feel like maybe I don't know, because I didn't watch the previews. I don't know. Something just tells me that this episode was not supposed to be today's episode. I don't know what makes me say that, but it just felt like it was, I don't know, somewhat super filler. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.